Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Hey, welcome, y'all. Welcome to Red Mage, Blue Mage, hosted by me, Kenny, who plays blue.
And I'm here, Amber, who plays red.
Don't sell yourself short. A lot of research and development has gone into this episode, and you should be proud of what you've done.
I mean, I did sit down in a chair. That's pretty good. I did set things up to be recorded, and I didn't even find the website I need to look at. You sent me the link to it.
Spoilers for later. Let's not go into it yet.
Okay, fine.
Today's theme is stuff I was thinking about today, including Kaldheim, which as of time of recording is about to release. I think tomorrow are the early access streamer events where you can watch people play with Kaldheim cards for the first time. So I'm thinking about those cards. I'm thinking about the set. So we're going to talk a little bit about Kaldheim via the mechanic of snow. And then the other thing I'm thinking about is just in general getting better or trying to get better at this game of Magic that we love so much. So not related topics, or rather related only by the fact that these are both things that I was thinking of.
I mean, that's as good as a theme as any.
All right, well, let's get to it, shall we?
Pick a card. You son of a bitch.
Bum, 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 bum. I don't know what the song is.
That was pretty close. Son of a bitch. All right, now, we are talking about today, I'll just get the topic right up front here with this pick a card, top 3 snow cards of all time. Now, I know for both of us, snow is one of our, it's a beloved mechanic in the Magic the Gathering world, and I think people have been wanting it to come back for a long, long time. We've only seen it twice, and the last time we saw it was Cold Snap, which was ages ago, so people have been just clamoring to see some snow.
Why?
And what's that?
Why?
Because it's so revered, because it's such a legendary and such an integral part of Magic's history. And so I thought it was important that we both put in the time, the effort to really dig deep into the history, pull out the cards, that the hidden gems that some people might not have expected. I went back and forth a lot on my list, but I think I've trimmed it down. How about you?
Yeah, same over here. I spent hours and hours poring over, thinking about snow, the cold white tundra, the rare and elusive sets of things, Magic, all that is something, and it's so precious to everybody that I wanted to give it the respect and care it deserves.
Okay,
AKA,
now for real.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing today. Look, okay, Kenny sent me a message and said, I'm thinking about something, and I just didn't read it apparently. I only picked out the part where he said, oh, we got better at Magic, let's talk about that, because spoiler alert, I did some awesome stuff earlier this month, and that's all I focused on was the I get to talk about myself, and I didn't see the part where he was like,
That was my mistake.
I didn't see the part where before he sent me 3 messages. The first one said, upon reviewing it now, hours later, said, all right, how about our favorite snow cards? Then the second message was, let's talk about also how we've improved in Magic and how you did well recently. And then I said, yeah. And then
I did do well.
His third message to me was like, all right, time to research some snow cards. And I didn't read that one. So,
blinded by the me.
So I'm doing what the kids say. I'm winging it, baby.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, that's what they say these days. I'm winging it, baby.
All right, as long as we're winging it, what do you know about snow?
Nothing.
In general, in Magic.
Absolutely nothing. Like, I just
Like-
know it's a land. Like, it's a mana you can get. I don't know anything about snow.
Okay. So then I guess a tiny bit of history is in order. There's been 3 expansions that have had snow. There's Ice Age, which is an old set. It was back after the Brothers Saga. So Urza and his brother Mishra blew up the world in their war against each other, basically. And there was an Ice Age after that apocalyptic event. So that was the set. It was Ice Age. And then years and years later, Wizards had this really... I'll let you decide what you think of this marketing ploy. They came out with a set, an unexpected set, where they said there was this file of cards that was supposed to come out with Ice Age that was lost to time. We found it, and we're just going to print it and give it to you all. And it was called Cold Snap. So it was just like another set of Ice Age cards. But it was just a total ploy. That was all made up. They just made up the cards later, and then you're shaking your head. You don't like that. That's not fun?
No, it's not fun. It would have been fun if it was real. Like, we actually lost these cards somehow. Like, the files were corrupted or whatever.
The papers were lost.
Yeah, and then we found them in in the behind the back of a painting. Like like when you go to Goodwill and you accidentally you buy
Like the
a
Goonies
couch.
or something.
And then I don't remember the Goonies, but I like to imagine one day I'll go into a Goodwill and I'll buy a piece of furniture, and then for some reason I'm like, you know what? I gotta reupholster this, and then we go to do it, and I find a bunch of gems.
Right.
That's what
like
I'm
the
hoping
Goonies.
for. So if that was true, is that the Goonies plot? I don't know the Goonies.
All right, we'll cover that later.
You keep trying to tell me about the Goonies, and I am referring to the Goonies, and I don't know. I don't truffle shuffle.
See, you know the Goonies.
I don't.
Andy, you
Nope.
Goonie.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, so you basically know lands. There's snow lands.
Yep.
So they had Ice Age. They had Cold Snap. Modern Horizons printed some new snow cards, but that was just disconnected from the story, from the main expansions. Call Time is the newest set that has snow in it, so that's why we're talking about snow
Sure,
today.
because frost giants and stuff.
Right, exactly. So let's go with your number 3 pick.
I don't have one. Okay, it's Frostwalla.
Okay.
And I only picked it because I like saying Rockwalla, and there's a snow version. So Frostwalla. That's the only reason I picked it. Has nothing to do with anything else.
My number 3 pick.
You're not even gonna let me talk about Frostwalla?
You said that's the only reason you picked it.
But look at him.
Why don't you read the card?
No, I don't want to. What's your number 3 pick?
Hold on, rewind. So I say let's do snow. You're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, I'm gonna go research snow. You don't research snow. You act like you've never heard of snow before. You pick all of your cards at the last minute. You give off your card and say the only reason I picked it is because it sounds like Rockwalla, which I love saying. I try to go onto my thing. You say, no, I want to talk about it. I say, okay, read the card. And you say, I'm done. That's the full timeline up to this point.
I get to choose when I'm done.
Oh my god, you're being very red right now.
Thank you.
That wasn't a compliment.
Your turn.
All right, my 3rd place is Narfi Betrayer King, who's from Call Time. This is 3, a blue and a black, for a legendary snow creature, a zombie wizard. Pretty cool, right? A 4/3. Other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. Cool. And for snow, you can return Narfi Betrayer King from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then the flavor text, to serve the god of death, Narfi forfeited the warmth of life.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's got kind of a Night King thing going on.
Sure.
Like Lord of Snow, like cold and zombies. Can't be killed except by a dagger that a girl stabs him with. I think it's pretty neat. I think this hits on one thing that is true, I think, of all of my picks and is important to me about snow and good snow mechanics. It needs to care about snow. There are a lot of snow cards that don't care about snow that much. This one does. This one buffs up snow creatures.
Yeah.
And its main payoff, which is zombifying it, you can only do with snow mana. And that's pretty cool. And I like the flavor on him.
Yeah, it's good flavor text.
All right. Amber's number 2. I can't wait. I'm on tenterhooks right now.
It's Chiller Pillar.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first repeat card in Pick a Card.
Did it come out another time?
I think when we were talking about the cards we were excited for from Modern Horizons, you said Chiller Pillar.
Well, then
and your reasoning was that it's cute.
Well, at least I'm effing consistent. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna be a chaos, at least there's some sort of consistency in my chaos. I love Chiller Pillar. What a great fucking goddamn name. Look how goddamn fucking cute it is. It's
plump.
cute. That's all I care about. It's pretty. Chiller Pillar is a great name. It's exactly something that I would make up for a game. Mwah. That's it. And I love its flavor text
That's
too.
reasonable.
From its cocoon, a flurry takes flight. You get it? You get it? You get it? A flurry? Like snow?
Yeah. That's cool.
And if he's monstrous, he's Mothra.
Yeah, that's true. Cool card. Good pick, you know?
Sure.
I'm glad you went back to the Chiller Pillar well.
I forgot I even picked it from Modern Horizons. I didn't even know it was from Modern Horizons. So there's that. Don't try to give me credit. Okay,
Well,
your turn.
it was kind of backhanded, so it's on
Whatever.
brand still.
Don't even give me that. Okay, your turn.
Number 2 for me, also from Modern Horizons, On Thin Ice. This is 1 white mana for a snow enchantment and aura. It enchants a snow land you control. Because as you pointed out, the big thing with a snow is that it comes with basic snow lands, so you can play them as basic lands, but they make snow mana instead of normal mana. What this aura does is when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until On Thin Ice leaves the battlefield. So it's this flavor of they're stranded on this snow land, basically. And again, the flavor text, he cursed the wind, he cursed the cold, but by stepping on the ice, he cursed himself. Pretty cool. I think this is a powerful card, and it's a really good payoff for playing snow. You're giving up some things by playing snow. Well, you are now that Astrolabe exists. So I think this is actually pretty cool. I like On Thin Ice quite a bit. It's a cool variation of Swords to Plowshares, a different kind of trade-off that you have to make for a 1-mana exile. You're just shaking your head.
Because I don't understand things. 1 second.
That's okay. All right, you can give me your number 1 pick whenever you are ready.
Oh, I don't want to. Oh, I feel so bad. Normally, I don't feel bad about being the way that I am.
It's good.
But I'm sorry. I just feel bad for Kenny sometimes. Every once in a while, I have this like clarity of what he has to deal with, and so my top number 1 pick is.
I'm shaking my head now.
I picked it because I misread it. And it made me laugh, and so I just kept it. And it's Arkham's Astrolabe. And I thought it said Arkham's asshole. And so I just kept it.
You're a child.
You're welcome. It cost a snow mana. It's an artifact. It's a snow artifact. I don't know anything about it other than it's an artifact that you can, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card.
Yeah.
And then you can tap it for one of any color to add 1 mana of any color. I'm sorry, it's not funny. Only to me.
It's very funny because you included this card because you misread it as Arkham's Asshole. And you've inadvertently, I think, picked the most powerful snow card of all time. And quite a notorious card as well. This was banned out of Modern fairly recently.
You know...
Because it was ruining the format.
It's because I'm a genius, truly. Inside. Don't make sad eyes at me.
You might be a savant, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so this card was big because it's not too big of a cost to just play with some snow basics. Mm-hmm. This cantrips, so you play it, it replaces itself for just 1 mana. There are lots of weird artifacts that people will play that cost 1 mana that give you a card that do almost nothing. This gives you a card, counts as a snow permanent, and gives you snow mana for snow effects. So it's just, and it makes decks very homogenous because every deck was playing Astrolabe. And not only that, but every deck was playing with snow lands, snow basic lands. One of the weird costs of this card being in the format is you had to play, instead of playing basic lands, you should be playing snow lands instead. Mm-hmm. That way you don't give away what deck you're playing. Because if you just play a normal basic, it shows I'm not playing with Arkham's Astrolabe. Yeah. And you don't want to give your opponent that information until you have to. So this is a hated card. And I now have one extra reason to dislike it.
Because I chose it. Arkham's
That's
Asshole.
Right.
All right. I'm clicking your link.
All right. My number 1. This is a Kaldheim card.
Where is it? There it is. I see it.
It is Faceless Haven, a snow land. It taps to add 1 colorless, which counts as snow mana, obviously. And for snow, it becomes a 4/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types until end of turn. It's still a land. So it's kind of like a big Mutavault. It turns into a big creature that is every creature type. So it's a goblin. You should like that. It benefits from any tribal synergy that you could want. Vigilance is very nice on it. Counts as snow, gives you snow. And I really love the art on this thing. Yeah. It shows a cave in a snowy hillside leading down into the depths where something glows with a ghastly blue light. And there's the skull, the horned skull of some beast over the top of it. As if the cave itself is the beast. Which is pretty cool. I definitely view this as some forgotten place out in the snow where spirits still linger and might manifest themselves in the land. I think it tells a cool story and it's a cool card.
It looks pretty.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Thought you'd like the art. Thank you.
Snowy. I actually hate the real snow. I hate winter. Winter's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like one of the only, for me, good side effects of the pandemic is that I don't have to drive out in the snow. And so I don't have to hate the snow quite as much.
Oh, I still do. Just
out of principle.
Yeah. How dare you? I just don't like being cold.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I was thinking about snow earlier today when I was doing my snow research. And it's an unusual mechanic, I would say. It's simultaneously one of the most interesting and one of the most boring mechanics, I would say. So the designers were sitting down. They're like, okay, we're going to do an Ice Age set. We're going to call it Ice Age. And it's all about the world is cold and like fantastical magical adventures in a world overrun by ice and snow. How do we represent that? And somebody had the idea, what if some of the permanents were snow? And they're like, what? Like, we just write snow on the card. So instead of an artifact, it's a snow artifact. instead of a land, it's a snow land.
Well, I think,
and that's it.
I think
that's the whole mechanic.
Well, I think it's a really interesting weather phenomenon, if you would want to call it that, because of all of the things that we experience, like rain and I guess wind and I don't know, sunshine. I guess. I mean, just like it's a thing that stays, right? Like it coats, it covers, and it's present. And it's not the aftermath of something. Like it doesn't snow and then things are changed and then it's gone instantly, like wind, right? Like wind comes through, a tornado happens, it twists some trees up, and really that we only deal with is the aftermath of a bad storm like that. But with snow, it stays for a while, you know. Of all the weather things, what other weather things are there? What
types of weather? Clouds. Does that count?
Christ. Fog. I mean, I guess you could do a fog.
The first thing I found is weather.fandom.com.
Okay.
Welcome to Weatherpedia. So they have sunny, partially cloudy, cloudy, overcast, different than cloudy, rain, drizzle, separate from rain, snow, stormy, including tornadoes and thunder snows, fog, that's kind of like snow, where it sticks around.
Yeah, so I'd say they could do a fog land.
Hurricanes and sandstorms. The point that I want to make is, for no other mechanic in the entire game or theme, is the entire mechanic just slap the name of it onto the cards,
sure.
And that's it. Like we didn't go to Amonkhet and they were like, okay, now introducing an Amonkhet, sand forests, sand islands, sand artifacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sand creatures.
I get it.
So it's not very interesting, but by the same token, because it's the only mechanic that really did that introduced a new super type, it is kind of interesting. I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to see. And to your point about how snow lands, it sticks around and it transforms the landscape, I think that's why it resonates when you see snow-covered forest, snow-covered mountain, that kind of thing. Because even the lands themselves have changed. And I think that's what is the appeal of snow.
Not to me.
I hate snow.
I hate snow. That's why I'm not interested in snow. And maybe that's why I blocked it out of my mind. Maybe I did, like, truly read that, and then my mind was like, no, you can't, because you hate winter and you hate snow, so just pretend it didn't exist. Don't recognize.
Yeah, it was a whiteout. Well, let's go then to something that you love.
Myself!
Talking about you.
Hell yeah. I'm choking on my whatever you want to call it.
Self-appreciation.
My dick. Yeah, let's talk about me. Let's talk about how I beat your ass twice.
Yeah. By now, those episodes are out, so people have heard it. If you want to go back, just listen to the last few combat phases, and you get to listen to Amber dismantle me playing Cube. Amber did indeed trounce Kenny's ass in Cube drafts. Twice. In a row. Unfortunately, due to a grievous error on Kenny's part, these recordings have been lost to the aether. Coincidence? You be the judge.
That's right. It feels so good, because I remember the first time I ever played did a cube draft with you. It was like 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was just getting, honestly, before that I hadn't played Magic in like 7+ years or something ridiculous. But drafting had always been my favorite way to play up until
when you first started playing.
Yeah, when I first started playing booster drafts and doing like the set release events and stuff like that. I always thought I was pretty decent at it. Not the best, obviously, because even when I was booster drafting, I hadn't been playing that long, probably a couple of years. So I didn't have a lot of experience. But since, playing that cube draft and getting my ass handed to me that first time 3 years ago, and then, of course, playing consistently lots of different formats of Magic, but mostly with Kenny as cube, I'm just really good.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say other than like.
Well, let's get into more detail. What is it that you think you've gotten better at?
I think if you're new to drafting and you aren't used to understanding how to, I don't know, balance out a deck, or like understanding that you have to go with the flow when you're picking cards, I think you could end up sometimes really becoming disorganized, flustered, overwhelmed, and not really putting together something that could work well in something like Booster. When you construct a deck, you get 4 play sets, and you can put whatever you want in it and everything. But like for Booster, it's like it's fucking random ass chaos, right? You got to make something out of the random shit you get. And I used to try to like, I think I do better going into pre-releases not knowing what is coming in a set, if that makes sense, because I'm not striving to build something out of what I know. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure I do.
So I think sometimes when you have meta knowledge going into a booster draft, and I could be completely wrong. Again, I don't know. This is just me. I think I'm the kind of person who tries to force a preconceived idea, and I won't pay attention to what's actually coming to me, right? So if I'm doing a pre-release event and I'm trying to win it, which I've come close, but I tend to want to make the deck that I know are good cards, right? Does that make any sense?
If I can paraphrase, let me see, this will clarify if I understand you. You seem to be saying that if you have a lot of foreknowledge about what decks are good and what cards are good in a set, that might distract you or blind you from what's actually available right now at the table, what's actually getting passed to you.
Correct. Like, you're going to try and focus on building a certain thing because you know that these 2 cards will work really well together. So you get one of those cards, and then you're trying to build the deck to that, and then you never see the other card or something.
So maybe blue-red is really busted in the set that you're playing right now, so you're looking at the blue and red cards, and you miss the fact that you've been passed tons of great white cards that you could have been picking up this whole time.
Yes, correct. That's me. Like, I've noticed myself that I tend to, if I have that meta knowledge, I tend to try to make that work. So even in my TTRPG games, when I'm running a game as a game master, I used to very much plan out a lot of how the session would go, and to the point where I wasn't very flexible. And we would end up in situations where I was forcing players into things that didn't feel good for anybody, and we walked away feeling kind of like frustrated. Whereas now I know the game, I know the mechanics of the game, I know how my players react, I know what they like, I know what to kind of expect loosely of that, and therefore I don't plan as hard. And same with Magic the Gathering. I think, once you know like the core tenets of Magic, like how a mana curve works, or how to ratio out your lands, or understanding that land drops with dual lands in a draft are super important, that you do this kind of stuff. Try to find win conditions, but don't look for specifically like, if you pick one goblin, there's no guarantee you're going to get, 5 other goblins. And when a goblin shit is like you're hoping for like tribal boosting each other. That's not going to happen. Then you've really fucked yourself over. So I think I've gotten better in that I've gotten better at improving in Magic.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because, you're saying it's better if you don't have such a clear idea of what you think is good going into a set or going into a draft. So wouldn't that imply that when you first started playing the cube, you would be better at it because you don't really know what to expect?
No, it doesn't, because I don't have game knowledge. So I'm talking about specifics versus overall. So overall, I've gotten better in Magic because I understand Magic itself better. I've gotten even better because I've let go of my preconceived notions of how I want to play and my biases.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense to me.
So it's like, if I had been playing Magic for 4 years prior to sitting down and playing your cube and doing a cube draft for the first time, I think I would have done fine. I would have probably held my own, but because I came into it like no experience in 7 years and also wasn't used to your cube or understand cube draft at all, I was terrible.
I get you. I think another thing that I've noticed just in the decks that you've constructed in the cube, you're getting more and more focused on a plan in your decks. Like, I'm thinking to just the various people that I've introduced to the game, and I have friends who, after the game, they're like, can you take a look at this deck? What do you think? Do you have any suggestions or anything? The thing I tend to say the most is, you've got cards in here that don't line up with what the rest of the deck is trying to do, And looking at the last few decks that you've drafted, everything is very much aligned with a single plan. All of the cards are working towards a single goal, which is something that you want in any draft. It's doubly important in Cube because the card quality overall is so high. In regular drafts in a normal set, you can kind of get away mostly with just thinking what's the most powerful card here in my colors and drafting that way. In Cube, everything is powerful, so you have to be thinking much more in terms of what are these cards trying to do? How is this contributing to my specific plan? And your decks recently, to me, have felt very focused, very on plan.
Yeah, I think what's really nice about the cube is, for a player type like myself, like I tend to play aggressively, right? Which unfortunately, I mean, it works for me, but I think with your cube specifically, what you have set up, there are cards in there that to me are enticing if you were thinking of a longer play. Like, there's a long-term plan, like there's like a mid game stuff, right? Or like late game things that you want to have happen. And if you start being enticed by that and you're playing against an aggressive player like me, and I within like 3 turns have got 7 creatures out or whatever it is I did last time, or I've been pumping up my 1/1s heavily, or doing things like casting auras that make it harder for blue artifacts and spells to be cast. I think you get you have to really hope that I draw terrible opening hands,
or hope that you have enough early interaction that you can keep up with it.
Yeah because yep. I think what I've noticed is I've definitely, especially playing against you, I've learned that I tend to prioritize 1-drops heavily. So any of your little, I think my first deck, because we played 2 cube games recently, and I built one deck. I'm going to say the first one was black, white with a splash of red. It was vampires.
Some combination. It was some combination of Mardu. Yeah.
Yeah. It was that, and vampires. I started to build up a very strong tribal, like pump each other up kind of deck. But there were a lot of vampires that basically when a creature dies, you lose a life. And I just had creatures dying left and right, and I was killing your creatures, so it was like that kind of stuff. Like anytime you can get like a little, to me it was like to get that little guy out there, I can't remember what card it was so juicy for me, because even if I had to sacrifice him, I was guaranteed to ping you for health, right?
The Blood Artist?
Yes, Blood Artist. Yeah, love the Blood Artist. He's great. Especially when I'm like sacrificing creatures too, like to get stuff up. It's like, put the Blood Artist out there. Other vampires I need to sacrifice. He's so worth it. So I'm gonna keep him in my deck.
Yeah, it was great.
And then my next deck I built was white green with I think a splash of black, maybe one black. 'Cause I had Garrick, I think.
That's right.
And that was I had 3 planeswalkers: Liliana, Garrick, and
Elspeth.
Was it? Yeah.
Sun's champion.
Yes. So I was putting soldiers.
6 mana Elspeth that made 3 soldiers at a time.
Yeah. And that was again like I did mana ramp and white weenie essentially. Like was it weenie? No, I didn't have any of those.
I would say it was kind of a mid-rangey deck.
Oh, mid-range.
Yeah. So you played a more aggressive role against me because I was playing control. And then you had your top end, which was you started dropping planeswalkers.
Yeah.
That gave you persistent value over time.
Yeah. And
feel good?
It did feel good because it made me realize the good choices. It's so easy to get caught in the hopes that this one big card or this one thing is going to work for you. And instead what I've done is I just focused on making sure all of my, like I can get cards out fast, prioritizing a land, my mana, making sure the things I'm choosing can do more than just one thing. That the reason why I would choose the Blood Artist and keep Blood Artist is because I'm sacrificing stuff, so it's the value of Blood Artist goes up because I'm having a deck that's sacrificing my own creatures. Yeah, felt real good. Felt smart for the first time in my life.
You're smart. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy it while you can.
I don't think you're ever going to win a cube game against me ever again.
Wow. Do you think so little of me?
I just think so highly of myself.
Ah, okay. That's what it is. Well, as a transition, it's funny, you started by talking about how, you think having preconceived notions of what is good in a set or a format might taint you and make it so that you're not paying attention to what's being drafted to you. Meanwhile, me and Seth on Filthy Casuals Review, a few episodes back, went through and graded every single common and uncommon from Kaldheim, trying to predict what the professionals, Louis Scott Vargas and Marshall Sutcliffe on Limited Resources, would grade it in an effort to A, have fun, but B, try to learn something. So do you think that was a fool's errand?
No, I think it's no, I don't think so. I think what you're doing when you do stuff like that is, I think it's also a good way, because you're not going to go play a pre-release. You're not going to go do a booster draft.
I might.
Well, you might. I guess because the winner gets a booster box from the other player, right?
Yes. We also said in the episode, we're both thinking of drafting some Kaldheim on Arena.
Oh, well, go for it, I suppose. But I think if you are doing it just to do it because it's an interesting research project and fun, I think it's helping you understand overall what the values in what makes Magic cards good, right? I think there isn't really a lot of extreme variance in Magic, right? Like, there are core concepts to the game that are inherent in every set, and what makes things good typically will be the same, like generally, right? will be the same across every set and how you play Magic. The only thing I think it changes is formats, because certain cards in certain formats will be better in them. But I think overall, looking at the game and doing it under the scrutiny that you guys are doing, I think it's just good overall. That makes I feel like I'm rambling. I feel like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just saying words.
Well, I can't tell which side you stand on. I can't tell if you're saying, modern day Magic cards are all pretty good and there's not a lot of variance in them. So maybe it's not super important to differentiate them ahead of time. Or if you're saying it does matter, it's context dependent, what's good and what's bad, and it's helpful to think about it.
What I'm saying is that Magic as a whole, there are core mechanics, core functions, core process inherent to the game that makes Magic Magic that you can look at a card and say. But I think a lot of times it is context dependent, on what you're going to do, for what format and everything. But I think that's why it would be good to do what you guys did, because you can scrutinize these.
Yeah, I think that's the area. The biggest thing I learned was the biggest deficit I have in evaluating cards from a new set, which is when you see a new mechanic, when you see a card that has boast, which is when this creature attacks, you can pay the boast cost after it attacks to get some effect, and thinking about how good is that on an individual card-to-card basis. How good is that mechanic overall? Because I haven't played with that mechanic. It's brand new. I found that I'm pretty bad at imagining what it's like to play with those cards before I've played with those cards. And there's some amount of learning that you are going to do when you play no matter what. Like, one thing that on Limited Resources they always do is, after they do their grades, there are a few episodes after that where they say, here are our first impressions of the set. And then later they'll do their Sunset show where they say, here's where we landed on these cards. And they always change. They always have some movement from where they started at the beginning of the set before they played it to the end. So I think that's a natural part of the process. But you give yourself an edge by having thought about it before you sit down for the first time. And you draft, some juicy looking rare that turns out to be a total dud. Or you pick up a card that other people are going to undervalue that you can build a deck around.
I'm just thinking that if somebody has gotten this far to the podcast episode, I just want to let you know, listener, that I think 90% of the time I'm speaking out of my ass. Because I really don't play Magic enough to have, I think, a solid opinion on a lot of stuff. Other than I feel good about how I've been drafting with Cube. And my play style and the way that I am as a person in general is pretty lackadaisical, I guess. Like, when I come into things,
I would say chill,
yeah, especially Magic, because to me it's like it doesn't feel good to lose, but also I'm not upset with it, right?
And you're not eking out win percentages.
Here's the thought. I can't be mad at myself for losing if I spent no time trying to learn about it, because I didn't learn anything. Therefore, of course I'm going to lose.
Don't try. The Amber story.
Yes. No. But going back to what I was saying about going into drafts and stuff, I do that because I like discovering as I'm playing, and it's a learning process for me. So I don't feel the need to go over a set of cards before drafting. I just don't feel that need. Other people might. That's fine. I think is a good way to do it. But I know for myself, I will get hung up on trying to craft something that I think will be good when I'm missing out on what's in front of me right now.
Fair enough.
But that being said, your Kaldheim review is intense. I didn't even listen to all of it. I listened to 40 minutes of it.
It was intense.
It's too much work for me to put into something like that. He's like sending me snaps. Everybody, like listener, he's sending me snaps of his spreadsheet, and you could just hear the delight and the giggles in his voice as he's like, look at it. Look what happens when I toggle this. Look what happens when I toggle that. And I'm not making fun of him. It's just funny.
I wrote a formula that takes the minimum of two absolute values that compare different amounts, the grades that me and Seth gave. Yay!
And this is why Seth was on the show and not me doing that.
I did ask if you wanted to, knowing full well that you would say no.
That's fine. I'm good.
You know what else is good?
What?
This place to end the podcast.
What?
Yeah. We've been talking for like 50 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
Ah, jeez. Ah, Joe.
Oh, well. All
So,
right.
anyway.
End it.
Long story short, good job. Congratulations. You beat me twice. Enjoy them while you can. Yeah, thumbs up.
Like, when are you going to get me a certificate? Like, I got a certificate when I completed a quiz.
When we finish our best out of 7. Because those are the first 2 games out of 7.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, it might be a minute. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Red Mage, Blue Mage. If you want to find us on Twitter, we're at RedBlueMTG. I'm on Twitter, at Wolfmere.
I'm Amber. And I'm at Rocket Orc. I forgot what I was doing.
It happens to me most episodes. And until next time, I'll be representing Counterspell.
And I'm bumbling around in the dark.
Alone and afraid.
Nope. Surrounded by goblins and comforted by my ignorance.
Goodbye.
Bye.